All right, math fans, this is Geometry the Trig review for the test. That is on Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on what class period you're in. All right, so basically, remember, it's your Toa. Okay, remember they're in groups of 3. All right, that's easiest way to remember it. You will have to memorize that. We will not be writing it on the board. So and the way I always thought about it is that's sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent. All right, that's just how I think about it. That's the easiest way to do it. So 3 steps. Step 1, mark triangle. Step 2, choose function. Wow, I'm sorry, F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N. 3, plug and chug. Those are your 3 patterns for every last one of these, okay? So here we go. But without further ado, so this is the angle we're looking at. Therefore, this is the hypotenuse. The opposite is always across, and the adjacent is always the leg next to the angle, okay? So we have an opposite and a hypotenuse, so we're using the sine function. So we do the sine of 14 equals opposite over hypotenuse. All right, since x is on bottom, we can multiply by x. So that's, we can multiply by x, and then we have to move the sign back over there. So effectively, these get swapped. When x is in the denominator, we are effectively going to switch my trig function and the x value. The entire thing. So it's x equals 20 divided by sine x. Oh. And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I work these out because I don't trust the key. Divided by sine x, not sine x, sine of 14. Thank y'all for letting me know about that. Sine of 14. So x equals 82.671. Kind of big, but whatever. That's what it is. And so it's that kind of thing for every last one of these. All right, number 2. I'll scoot over to number 2. Number 2, your angle is 34 degrees. That's the opposite. Adjacent is next to it, and the hypotenuse is always that one. It's always the one there. All right, so here we go. That is adjacent and hypotenuse. That would be the cosine. So A and H, that's that one right there. So the cosine of 34 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. All right, when x is on top, that makes life really nice. I can just take the 87 and multiply it. So that's 87 cosine of 34 equals x. Shove that in the calculator. 87 times the cosine of 34 equals 72.126. Cool? Let's just keep rolling. This one right here, this one right here. Oh, here we go. I got an angle that I don't know, but still, you go across for the opposite. The hypotenuse is always the longest one, and the adjacent is next to it. So again, I got an adjacent and a hypotenuse. That's the ka. So that's the cosine. No, I want that color. The cosine of x. It's always the cosine of the angle equals the adjacent, which is 5, over the hypotenuse, which is 12. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? Now, this is the interesting one. This is the only time I can separate these away from each other is when I have to get into the angle. I do that by move the cosine to the other side and make it an inverse. So x equals the inverse cosine of 5 divided by 12. Okay? And that is a 12. This is when we use the inverse symbol. And that, I know it looks like to the power of -1. It looks like an exponent. But really what this means is this is the inverse of that function. Okay? So that's when we use the -1s. When we're looking for an angle, that's when we use the -1s. When you're looking for a side, we use the regular ones. 5 divided by 12. And you should get x equals 65.376 degrees. Cool. Yeah. Oh, I'm a rebel just for kicks. I'm so sick of that song. I'm sorry. So here you go. There's our angle. First things first. Mark it. So across, that's my opposite side. That's my hypotenuse. So I marked it. Choose your function. Opposite and adjacent. Opposite and hypotenuse. I'm sorry, that is the sine, the so. Okay? So the sine of x equals the opposite over the adjacent. Cool. And again, only time you can break this apart is when you're looking for the angle. So that becomes x equals the inverse sine of 34 over 56. So x equals 37.383 degrees. And yes, that is an 8. Cool. Any questions, comments, or complaints, public service announcement, or anything like that so far? All right, that's just the gist of it. All right, I'm gonna pause it. We'll start.